But, and we'll go ahead and play the Carving Up the Context music. So give me my music right now. Here we go. Okay, so on this week's edition of Carving Up the Context, the NBA just last week instituted a new policy regarding rest rules. The Board of Governors, to be specific, adopted a new rest policy that states that teams must ensure star players are available for national television and in-season tournament, the new in-season tournament, games, and must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player and road and home games with blah, 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 blah beyond that. So essentially saying, in the simplest terms possible, the NBA teams cannot rest more than one star player on a nationally televised game. They cannot do that. Saying, like, we want as many stars on national TV as possible. Okay, I get that. You want, when the Los Angeles Lakers come on TV, you want to see at least LeBron or at least AD. If they're both out, then because they're resting, not great. But I feel like this is a very flawed way of looking at this. It's a very flawed way of trying to address this problem. Because if you look at the true superstars, I'm talking about guys, we say one name, we know who we're talking about. If I say Durant, you know who I'm talking about. If I say Jokic, you know who I'm talking about. You get what I'm saying? LeBron, obviously. Almost all of the top players in the NBA, the vast majority of the games they miss, I mean the overwhelming majority of the games they miss, is due to injury. And if they don't get injured, they almost always play the vast majority of the games. Jason Tatum, for example, last year, 74 games played. Didn't really deal with any major injuries. He's still relatively young. Doesn't play a terribly, that physically taxing of a game. That's not really his mojo. So 74 games played last year. Played all the playoff games. He was available. No load management there. Nikola Jokic. Now, he played 69 games, which is kind of low for him because Jokic always kind of flirts with that 82 games played, thing on his resume, on his schedule. 69 games played. He would have played over 70 had the Nuggets not already clinched the number one seed, about a week ahead of the playoffs. So none of Denver's games mattered the last few games of the season, so Jokic rest them, get ready for the playoffs. Giannis only played 63 games, missed 6 due to injury. So there's a legit conversation there, like, okay, what about the other games he missed due to load management? Here's where it becomes a conversation. Here's where I don't think the rule addresses load management in a positive way at all. Kevin Durant played 47 games last year, so barely over half. 30 of those games were due to 2 separate injuries. He injured, I think it was his leg, or his calf or something, on, I think it was January 8th. It was very early into the new year. He did not come back until early March. 3 games into his feet, because he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, obviously, in between that time. When he played with Phoenix, first 3 games, remember, he's about to play his first home game against, I think it was against his old team, Oklahoma City, and he, as my man Barry Grant Jr. said on his show when this happened, tripped on air, twisted his ankle, and missed the next, I think it was 8 games after that, so he missed about 2-3 weeks. And then KD, once the Suns clinched the 4 seed and their playoff spot was locked in, sat the last 2, so that's 32 possible games KD would have played. So 3 games that he sat due to rest. 3 out of 82. Steph Curry played 56 games last year. He missed 22 due to injury. Do the math. 56 plus 22, that's 78. He missed 4 games because he rested. 4. So my thing is, if it's just nationally televised games, because that to me tells me, the NBA talk about, we care about our fans, we care about our fans. Don't let them gaslight you here. The NBA is saying, no, we care more about these television contracts because networks like ESPN, TNT, they're getting pissed off with us because they're marketing these games as like Steph versus Durant or Kawhi versus, and they really, let's be honest, the Clippers, this is the only team that this is going to affect in all honesty, but Clippers versus Kawhi versus LeBron, and most of the players are sitting. Hasn't the conversation about load management, keeping it completely honest here, hasn't that centered around, from the fan perspective, about the middle-class family who, maybe has like nosebleed tickets that go to like one game a year, a couple games a year, and they see their team play, but they especially want to go to that one game where the Lakers are coming into town and LeBron's playing, or the Warriors are coming into town and Steph's playing, or the Bucks are coming in and Giannis is playing, or the Dallas Mavericks are coming in and Luka's playing. So they want to see their team, but they want to see their team against the best players in the NBA. And sometimes these players, because it's the front or back end of a back-to-back, are resting. And so like the kid and the family's heartbroken, they don't get to see their favorite player or potentially one of their favorite players because of load management. Those aren't all national TV games. By the way, the Warriors lead the NBA going into this season. Let me make sure I'm getting this number right. The Golden State Warriors this season have how many national televised games this season? Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up. I think it's like 41, so like half the season is 41 nationally televised games for Golden State this year. That's a whole nother half season for it. And again, Golden State is the most. So every other NBA team, over half their games are not nationally televised. So there's 40-something other opportunities for stars to sit. How does this address load management? To me, what addresses it far more, and props to the NBA for doing this, is like that if you got to incentivize the players to play, the 65-game rule. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, that the NBA put this rule in place where players have to play in at least 65 of 82 games in a season to be eligible for postseason awards. MVP, first team All-NBA, that kind of stuff. If you incentivize the players to playing games that, let's be honest, really don't matter that much, maybe that's the avenue to do, and they did. But this sitting for national TV games, to me, again, the younger superstars, they mostly don't sit out games, especially on national TV. Tatum never sits at all because he's still young, he's healthy, he doesn't get hurt. Jokic, the vast majority of the games he sat was because the Nuggets had clinched. I mean, they got the 1 seed. Let's have our best player fresh for the playoffs, and we saw what Jokic did in the playoffs. I mean, the only team this is really going to affect is the Los Angeles Clippers with Kawhi Leonard. That's it. And potentially, maybe, the Lakers with LeBron and AD. And by the way, you guys know I'm not exactly like pro-Lakers on the show, although I think I've been probably the most objective, Lakers analyst, so to speak, over the last 2 years, dating back to 2021, but that's neither here nor there. LeBron may sit, that's one thing, but again, LeBron is, 38 years old and going into year 21. By the way, gonna be 39 at the end of this year. I think LeBron, given what he's done for the NBA, can sit a game in Orlando. But Anthony Davis even. Remember Charles Barkley called him street clothes? I've called him in the past. AD stands for always down. It's not always sitting out. AD's healthy. He usually plays. Like, that's not really a problem with Anthony Davis. His issue is staying healthy. That's his problem. But it's not, oh my God, AD's sitting out again. He's still... Not really. I mean, it's really not. Here's the question to me that should be posed more than the national TV conversation. Why are guys seemingly getting hurt more often? Now, some of it for LeBron, for Steph, it's age. They're going to get hurt more. But Giannis missed time due to injury last year. Now, Giannis plays a physical brand of basketball, but to me, just the national TV component is borderline irrelevant. Matter of fact, I think it is irrelevant. This isn't going to all of a sudden fix load management and erase it for good. Again, the Warriors play the most nationally televised games at exactly half the season, 41 games. Okay, there's 41 other opportunities for if Steph needs an off night to sit out, or Clay or Draymond. I don't get it in the absolute slightest. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it's kind of a dumb rule. It is. To me, the 65 games that you need to play to be eligible for postseason awards, way more effective. And it's still, at least what the NBA says they care about, and I love Adam Silver, but just kind of holding his feet to the fire here, is the folks that like, man, we got to see these people play. We got to see these stars play. It's the one time, if it's an Eastern or Western Conference team coming to our home arena, we saved a lot of money for this. Mom and dad worked hard, bring the kids and the players out. Well, if that game's not national TV, sorry, the guy's not playing. This rule doesn't address that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of flaws in how the NBA went about this. A lot of flaws. I mean, we can always. I mean, this is, you know what? This reminds me of a sense when a new president comes in, could be anybody, Democrat, Republican, and there's the occasion where they replace a policy from their predecessor who probably came from the opposite party just because that predecessor did it. You know, I remember years ago this happened with a healthcare bill. Like, oh, just because the predecessor, because it has, you know, his name stripped to it, like, you know, we're getting rid of it just for that reason. It's like, well, there's maybe reasons to get rid of it, just not because that particular individual did it. You know, it feels like you're just throwing out a solution, even if it's not really that much of a solution. That feels to me what the NBA is doing. I don't know how this fixes the load management problem all of a sudden in the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm too skeptical about it, but I don't get how this helps the NBA. I mean, I don't. Is load management a problem? Of course it's a problem. Of course it's a legitimate concern. Although I would argue there's a few there's 3 superstar level players that, to me, I don't care how many regular season games they play. I don't. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. What do all those guys have in common? All of them are over the age of, well, one of them is about to join this club soon in like literally a couple of weeks. All of them are above the age of 35. KD's literally about to be 35 in days. Happy early birthday, Kevin. Steph's going to be 36 in March. LeBron is going to be 39 in December. Do you think the Phoenix Suns care if Kevin Durant plays in January or in May? You think the Warriors care if Steph Curry plays in November or June? Same with LeBron James. So, again, with those guys, I'm fine with load management. I really am. They've had their share of injuries. Their body's getting older. You want them fresher for the playoffs. Now, guys like Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Luka, different story. Embiid. It's a legitimate conversation with some of these guys, but I don't know. I just don't think that this new policy addresses it in the absolute slightest. I really don't. I don't see the benefits of it at all. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.